Good to see everybody. Yeah, some people were in Chicago. Well, let me clue some of you in, some of you who weren't there. So this is actually a card that my wife gave me. And I've been harassing her for 31 years. No hashtag Me Too type thing. My wife doesn't need Twitter to get me straight. I just do something and she's like, you know, you might think, and then she says something. Before I know it, I'm on my back changing the oil in the car or fixing the fence in the backyard, something that I didn't know it, but I really wanted to do it. So in the morning, I usually, just like this morning, look in the mirror and try and get myself psyched up for what I'm about to do. And she knows that I do that, and so that's why she gave me this card. She's like, I don't know what you're seeing, but I know it's not really reality. And then she's like, who do you see? I said, this is who I see, Denzel Washington. That's who I see. I don't know who you see. And I don't mean fat, sloppy Denzel Washington. I mean Training Day Denzel Washington, the real man. So I just want you to know you're listening to a fully delusional leader. Okay, a leader who sees things not exactly how they are, but sees things how I hope they will be, which is about what this whole conference is about. So I want to welcome you. And I want to do a recap just to get us all on the same page for some things that we've been doing. Yesterday, we had a celebration and a conference for our small and medium business size winners, some of the best companies in the United States. These leaders run organizations that create jobs in our communities. They're the rock of our economy. And I'd just like you to join me in giving these people a round of applause. Top companies in the United States. Thank you, and congratulations to these great business people. The other thing that we did last night was historic. We had an event just to get ahead of International Women's Day, where we wrote a letter to people from our list, to the CEOs, and we said, look, we would like you to look through your organization and recommend a woman that's doing something remarkable. But let's define what remarkable is. Delivering to the bottom line, meaning revenue and profit, as well as creating a great place to work for all. And they wrote a description of this woman and recommended this woman. And we honored them last night. 66 women we honored last night. Are you willing to give me about a minute and a half to check these women out? Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, it was remarkable. As Julian mentioned, this is our mission. This is why we're here, and we put the hammer down. That we think, as we measure the experience between men and women at work, it's a great place to start. We want it to be equal. Somebody asked me yesterday in a press interview, well, men and women are different. What do you mean by equal? I'm like, let's get back to algebra. Equal. Okay? Approximate is like two lines with a squiggly line on top. We mean equal. That's exactly what we mean. And the way that we're going to do it is what we call 4ALL leadership. It's in the book that all of you have, because 4ALL leadership leads to innovation by all. The true competitive advantage for companies going forward with this digital transformation is 4ALL leadership and innovation by all. And we mean all. We mean everybody, regardless of who they are, or what they do in your organization, including men like this who are working on a rooftop in Singapore at 126 degrees Fahrenheit. People like this who don't have any hair. People like the guy I skipped over who had gray hair. And people like this woman who has uniquely beautiful hair. And the woman next to her who has uniquely beautiful hair that she chooses to cover up because of what she believes in. We mean all, including these two women doing the best thing you could do, not only at work, but just in life, which is laugh and enjoy somebody that you're spending time with, particularly people that you work with. We think this is better for business, better for people, and better for the world. Now, when we're talking about our work, we're like, great place to work, and many of you, we believe all these three things are possible. You don't have to trade one off for the other. oh, we're going to make money. We don't have to treat the people great. You treat the people too great, we're not going to make as much money. No. All these things go together. But you can take your pick. As long as you pick what you want to do and then get to work. But what this requires and what this conference is about is change. Something that we all love to do. We love to lead change, but we hate to change. Two different things, but that's what it requires. Fear is what stops us from changing. Fear of losing something that we have, or that we're not going to get something that we want. These are the things that get in the way of fear. I'm not going to do any spoiler alert thing about this movie. Let me just tell you, this brother's afraid. Okay? You know, this is real fear. I'll just leave it at that. And I don't want to, minimize real fear. This is from one of my favorite movies. This young boy from the movie Sixth Sense has this gift. He's looking in his father's eyes right now, and he's telling his father, "Father, I see dead people." And his father's like, "Oh, okay." Like a lot of leaders, his father didn't listen. He didn't think about the implications of what if his son actually saw dead people. It would have been a very short movie, by the way. Leaders who are out to get all they can personally have no regard for democracy. And to me, this man wants to destroy ours, the country that I love. I legitimately fear this man. I feel bad just having him behind me on the screen. I'm not looking at it. These are real fears. These are legitimate fears. Our environment, what's happening, what we've done to the world, what we continue to do to the world. This is a legitimate fear that I have that requires change. The mobile phone. I used to fear the mobile phone because on Fridays I'd look at Glassdoor and it would ruin my mood. Now things are much better, a great place to work. It's actually a great place to work. So I respect this device because it has changed the world. It has liberated people. It has given people a voice that have never had a voice. People can use that device and tens of thousands of people can be marching, including millions of people, all around the world on a set day. And these are intelligent people. These are people, some of them haven't gone to school, but because of this device, there's a lot of good information on it. They are informed. They are intelligent. They know why they're protesting and why they want to make change in the world. Safety is what they want. We measured in our survey, emotional and psychological safety. People want to be themselves and know that it's okay. It's a powerful quote. Here's a woman who found her sword. This is Emma Gonzalez, 17 years old. After a tragedy at her high school where 17 people were killed, she wasn't looking for a social media opportunity. She felt a calling, and she answered the call at 17 years old and has changed the world as a result. Becoming that fire. This is Claudette Colvin, 15 years old in 1950. Claudette Colvin was the first woman who refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white person. It was 9 months later that Rosa Parks did the same. She was 15. There was no social media. She did it because there was a call. She wanted to change. These are two remarkable people. The reason I want to highlight them is many of us in our organizations, many of you have people called hypos, high potential people. You know what I'm talking about? These are these people you identify that can become high potential leaders. And I've worked with many of you who have found out they had high potential, all right, high potential to wreck your business. It didn't all work out, right? Because there are other people that you don't see for some reason, like the Emma Gonzalez's and the Claudette Colvins, that are remarkable people. Somehow we miss them. You got to look for them. Look for these people because they're in your organization now. What's up, man? Human rights. It doesn't matter who your CEO voted for in an election, but people do care what they believe in. People do care what your CEO believes in. The days of, oh, can't we just get back to business? That's over. People care now. Fear at work, it has no place. Hashtag Me Too. Women fearing what they were experiencing at work. Real fear, not false fear. It happened. It's like shocking. Only if you're just not dealing with reality is it shocking. Deal in reality, it's not shocking at all. It's appalling, but it's not some big surprise. This surprised me. There was a survey done by lean.org of 1,900 men who were asked, after hashtag Me Too, what's different? The survey said they were 3 times less likely to mentor a woman because of Me Too, of hashtag Me Too. Really? Does that make any sense whatsoever? What? Now, if you actually look at the data of how many men mentor women, it's basically 0. In non-great companies, it's basically 0. So if x equals 0, 3 times x is 0, so really nothing's going to change. So what do you believe? Here's what this great leader believes. And he believed this before being #1 on our world's best list and #1 on our 100 best list. He's believed this a long time, and it's proven that these kinds of beliefs are better for business, better for people, and better for the world. There should be no fear at work. Because fear at work separates people. You go in the cafeteria and you have the accountants over here and the HR people over there with the same fears. You have people over 50 over here and people under 30 over there. One ethnic group over here, another ethnic group over there. That's what fear does. Breaks people into factions. And they collect themselves and gather based on having similar fears. That stops innovation. We don't need that fear at work. It stops inclusion. Because people begin to separate and find people with similar beliefs. We don't need fear at work. A great team fears the same thing. They fear losing the same things. This is Benedict Cumberbatch in the movie Imitation Game, I think. That's not the right title. It's some kind of game. Was that the right title? That was lucky. I'll take it. I love luck better than anything else. I'll take luck over skill at any time. He is playing Alex Turing. This is the real person. 34 years old, was asked as a mathematician to save the world, basically, in World War II. He's known as the father of computing and the father of artificial intelligence. This team had the same mission and the same fears. They didn't want to lose the war. They were unified. This is what the movie used as the prop for what most people call the first computer. He was socially awkward. Really, really awkward. But socially awkward was okay. But to really have a breakthrough, he had to change his personality. He met a remarkable woman who helped him connect with people in a different way, and that's when the breakthrough happened. The estimate is, at 36 years old, he saved 21 million lives by shortening the war. That's some powerful impact. Who would have thought? Based on being gay, 4 years later, he would be dead by drinking poison because he was arrested because being gay was illegal in London. And he had to drink poison to change his physiology. And he was dead. What else could that man have done for society if he could have been himself, fully himself? If all of his human potential could have been unlocked instead of having to hide this part of himself. He was great hiding. How great could he have been if he could have been himself? Fear at work. This is a legitimate fear, artificial intelligence. I have no fear about WALL-E. You know, cool robot. This one looks kind of scary. It's only in a movie. Who would have thought these were the things that people should have legitimately feared? You know what I think about this photo? I mean, I've looked at it. There's not a person in it. And I've done some research. Even the cleaning of this plant is done by robots. It's just like 0 people. It's had a lot of impact on a lot of people. Artificial intelligence, if we talk about it in terms of lowering cost to get more profit, doesn't work for people. They're like, what's in it for me? That doesn't sound like a good thing at all. If we talk about it instead of artificial intelligence plus human ingenuity, the Emma Gonzalez type people, we talk about growth. People like that. Oh, you're talking about making the pie bigger, going from this to this? Okay, that's good. I feel like that's a good thing. I want to participate in that. That takes investment. Takes some more flour, some more apples, and for me, a lot more butter. It's a good thing, because it's the only way things grow. It's the only way people grow is with investment. They need sunlight. They need energy. It takes time. It's not instant. Sometimes when you think people are done, they just continue to grow and to change. You never want to sell them short. You want to always believe you can maximize their human potential. I'd like to share with you a poem by Harriet Arrow. The fir tree has no choice about starting its life in the crack of a rock. What nourishment it finds is often meager, and above the ground appears a twisted trunk, grown in irregular spurts, marred by dead and broken branches, and bent far to one side by the battering winds. Yet at the top, some twigs hold on to their green needles year after year, giving proof that misshapen, imperfect, scarred, the tree lives. You may wonder why I have this in my presentation. I just like it. It really makes me feel good. Okay, back to the numbers. So innovation by all. As you'll see in our book, we know it pays. If you take a look at our 100 best list, we look at the data between the top 25, the lower 25, and all the quartiles. The top 25 on our 100 best list, when you rank them in terms of innovation, have 4 times, almost 5 times the revenue growth of the lower 25. It's the same with executive effectiveness. We resort the list in terms of great place to work for all. It's the same. Actually, in your book, it was last year's data. This year's data was even more impressive. And you're looking at this year's data. But this work isn't for everyone. We all believe in it. That's why we're here. Some people fear what they can't see. Some people believe in the numbers, but they miss the hidden figures. People. These are 3 fine actresses who are playing the roles of women that were called computers. The first definition of a computer was a person who does calculations. It became a machine definition about 1953, 1954. Before that, it was a definition of people. And these women worked under pretty tough conditions and did calculations at NASA, all African American. And this woman was not their supervisor, but she was just their informal leader. And one day she saw this machine coming into the building. It was an IBM computer. And she was smart. She knew something was about to change. And it was going to affect her and the people that she believed in. So she started going at night to the library because somebody told her that it's going to run on this language called Fortran. She started studying Fortran on her own. She learned Fortran on her own. I took Fortran. I couldn't learn it with professors at Stanford University. Okay? She learned it on her own. Not only did she learn it on her own, she taught her team. She didn't, oh, these are people who are doing calculations, they can't learn computer programming. She believed they could do it. And they did it. This was the first IT department in the world. That's what it became, transformed the world. And when you listen to Dorothy Vaughan, who became their supervisor, though that was her last promotion, when you listen to her until she died in 2008, she said, "We did it because of the mission at NASA." She was so moved by the purpose of the organization. That's what drove her. And she did it by being a for-all leader. So sometimes people say, what's a for-all leader? To me, it's Dorothy Vaughan. That's who I want to be. Driven by the mission of my organization and believing in everybody in it that if I maximize their human potential, they're going to do great things, and the mission's going to happen. That's what it is. How do we do it? We got to change. Number one, we got to look at the facts. You got to look at the experience that your employees are having, not the one that you imagine that they're having. You got to use analytics. Yes, that's the business we're in. And as a leader, you got to look at the facts. Two, you got to get recommendations on what you need to do. We call them prescriptions. For every leader, there's 2 things they need to start doing and 1 thing they need to stop doing. It's the way it goes to affect the experience that the employees are having who work for them. 3, you need to work with an HR partner or coach because you can't do it alone. Requires change. When do you start? Like right now. Because the heat's on your organization just like every other organization. We have to raise the leadership bar. This saying, he or she is a great leader, but they're not very good with people. Have you ever heard that? You know, oh, they're great, but just don't put any people around them. Okay, keep that Excel spreadsheet, they're psyched up, but don't put any people around them. But the fact is, we do put people under them. We have a nice word for it in the book, the unintentional leader. It's about as positive as we could get. It's not a for-all leader. Genius? Absolutely. Outstanding individual performer? Maybe, but not a for-all leader. For-all leader is willing to change. A for-all leader wants to maximize the human potential of everyone. A for-all leader is willing to change as a person because the organization's purpose is so powerful to them. If it isn't, you need to change the organization's purpose or go to another organization. Because this is the only way people are willing to change. It has to be some higher reason, some higher calling. So me, I can look in the mirror and see whoever I want to see. But what matters are the people who work in our 58 countries with me at Great Place to Work. It's who they see. It's who they experience. That's what matters. So this is our mission. Better for business, better for people, better for the world. We're hoping by 2030, when these young people enter the workforce, they'll see people who look like them, feel like them, believe things they believe in, all throughout the organization, including on their board of directors. By 2030, the women on the right, when they're doing the same job as the young men on the left, they want to get the same pay. That needs to happen by 2020. These young people want to see people like them. The young man in the chair wants to see people like him doing great things at work. The father wants to feel comfortable talking about his son when he's at work. These young women want to enter a workforce where hashtag #MeToo means something very different. It means hashtag #MeToo. It's like everybody, we're all doing it. The young cute baby on the right won't be at work yet, but she was so cute I had to put her in the presentation. So this is me meditating a couple of days ago. I'm still the same person, seeing things how I want them to be, how I hope they will become. Not too much has changed. But one thing I know is I can't do anything alone. I'm just like all of you. And you come to this conference and gather so we can get psyched up to go out there and face people who don't necessarily believe what we believe. So all I want to know is, like Julian said, are you with us? Yes. Are you with us? All right, well, it's going to be a hell of a conference. Let's get it started, and I'll see you at the party tonight. Thank you very much. Hold on,